Genesis 10. Nations descended from Noah. These are the descendants of Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Children were born to them after the flood. The descendants of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. The descendants of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The descendants of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Rodanim. From these the coastland peoples spread. These are the descendants of Japheth, in their lands, with their own language, by their families in their nations. The descendants of Ham: Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. The descendants of Cush: Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteka. The descendants of Ramah: Sheba and Dedan. Cush became the father of Nimrod. He was the first on earth to become a mighty warrior. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord, the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, and Akkad, all of them in the land of Shinar. From that land he went into Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Rezin, between Nineveh and Calah, that is the great city. Egypt became the father of Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Kazluhim, and Caphtorim, from which the Philistines come. Canaan became the father of Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. Afterwards the family of the Canaanites spread abroad, and the territory of the Canaanites extended from Sidon in the direction of Gerar, as far as Gaza, and in the direction of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, as far as Lasha. These are the descendants of Ham, by their families, their languages, their lands, and their nations. To Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the elder brother of Japheth, children were born. The descendants of Shem: Elam, Ashur, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. The descendants of Aram: Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arpachshad became the father of Shelah, and Shelah became the father of Eber. To Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan became the father of Almodad, Sheleph, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Obimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the descendants of Joktan. The territory in which they lived extended from Mishah in the direction of Sephar, the hill country of the east. These are the descendants of Shem, by their families, their languages, their lands, and their nations. These are the families of Noah's sons according to their genealogies, in their nations, and from These the nations spread abroad on the earth after the flood. Genesis 11. The Tower of Babel. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as they migrated from the east, they came upon a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and bitumen for mortar. Then they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves. Otherwise we shall be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which mortals had built. And the Lord said, Look, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do. Nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language there, so that they will not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city, because it was called Babel. Therefore it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth. And from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. Descendants of Shem. These are the descendants of Shem. When Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arpachshad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after the birth of Arpachshad for 500 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Arpachshad had lived for 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And Arpachshad lived after the birth of Shelah for 403 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived for 30 years, he became the father of Eber. And Shelah lived after the birth of Eber for 403 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived for 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And Eber lived after the birth of Peleg for 430 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived for 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And Peleg lived after the birth of Reu for 209 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Reu had lived for 32 years, he became the father of Serug. And Reu lived after the birth of Serug for 207 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived for 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And Serug lived after the birth of Nahor for 200 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor had lived for 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And Nahor lived after the birth of Terah for 119 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Terah had lived for 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Descendants of Terah. Now these are the descendants of Terah. Terah was the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran was the father of Lot. Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his birth, in Ur of the Chaldeans. Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was barren. She had no child. Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abram's wife, and they went out together from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. The days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. The call of Abram.